Welcome to the Clear Minds podcast. My name is Carlo, and I'm joined today with Brian.
Hello, Carlo.
Brian, thank you again for coming on.
It's my pleasure.
Today we'll be doing part 3 of character defects. So, in part 1, we explained what a character defect is. Part 2, living with character defects. And part 3, the final part, is the work, things that we could do to um, work on our character defects.
Okay.
All right. Um, so, when you first entered recovery, did you believe real change was possible for you?
Yes, without a doubt. Come from a place where mission was impossible to come to a place to have hope for mission to be possible. I had that mindset. Yes, sir. Yes.
You believed that it
Yes.
was possible
Yes.
for you. And how has your understanding of change evolved, especially the difference between changing yourself and losing your identity?
Well, change is needed. It's for myself. Sometimes, for me, I didn't want change. Because if I did, I wouldn't be here. So now, change was needed. I accept change for my identity. I'm still the same person. I'm still walking in the same shoes that I walked in before, but it's just a different outlook on life and things like that. So, within the identity of myself, I am who I am today by the grace of my high power.
Okay. And when you say you didn't want to change, were you comfortable where you're at? Were things good, or you just were stuck in the midst of?
I would say it wasn't comfortable at all, just stuck. With the substances and alcohol, there's no room for moving forward. Just be stuck, like just at a standstill. So,
Yeah. What does transformation mean to you today?
well, there's a scripture that comes up to mind that I say it on a day-to-day basis. Romans 12:2, transformation or renewal of your mind. And I read that and that's been with me. Um, if it wasn't for to come here to go with you get the old out with the old and in with the new. If it's just to come here just to go through the motion, it's no room for transformation. So for me, I had to out with the old and out in with the new. The old ideals, the old way of living, all of that had to go to the wayside, and I had to get on board of what the new way of living is. So that's when I had to, get the mindset of practice of transformation, and that's certain things you can't do anymore, and two of those things was drinking and drugging. So with that, and then the rest follows.
Accountability, community, and humility. Um, how did you learn to ask for help or let people see your flaws and all?
Well, making a phone call and asking for help, then having a phone call made on you, it's just different. Once again, you take an initial step for yourself, asking for help. And once I done that, and I was accepted as to get the help, I just went with the motion and did what was asked of me, and I had to, pour out all of what baggage I had, and accept the response, that I got from that, and to just say to myself that I won't change. I wanted to, change my life, so I had to accept what I was, the response that I got from sharing my baggage. I had to accept it. That was a part of me, and no harm, no foul.
Absolutely. What did humility look like in your recovery journey? Not as weakness, but as power.
What is it just to be in the atmosphere of other alcoholics and alcoholics and drug users? Um, for me, I was at home in a way. Um, so much we are alike, but so much we are different. Some of us step outside, some of us didn't. but just to be in the atmosphere to where you can share or to listen to others' pain and to share your own was humility or whatever you want to call it. Uh, there's no room for error when it comes to that point. There's no pride and none of that. I mean, who am I to sit across from someone and say I wasn't like that when we're in the same room, listen to the same person? I mean, that doesn't make sense. So for me, I just had to swallow what what I had, humility. I was a drunk, I was an alcoholic, and I'm being honest today with it and surrender to it.
You said mentioned share your pain with another, and vice versa.
Right.
Um, how did that go? How what um, is it of pain? Is it painful as well to recognize these defects that we have?
Well, I ain't gonna say it's pain to recognize these defects that we have. Before coming to treatment, I didn't know anything about defects. Let's be perfectly honest, be clear. I didn't know anything about that. Therefore, I wasn't in front of anyone to point these things out or even acknowledge that we had character defects.
Kind of like just the way I am.
Just the way I am, the way I was, or whatever the case may be. But to come to a place that now you see these things and it's part of the I won't say program.
The
It's
recovery process.
the recovery process. Um, it's a part of life. So what I can say to that is all I know is absolutely nothing. It's a learning process if you're
All I
willing to
know
learn.
is absolutely nothing.
All I know is absolutely nothing.
I like that.
Yes.
Now we'll talk about flaws as feedback, not identity. We're often taught to hide our flaws. What helped you shift from seeing defects as shameful to seeing them as information?
Well, to come to a place where you had to go to meetings, you had to do all of these things, you had to do all of this, you had to show living in a sober living house, you had to show all your documentations of this and that. There was no room for lying. So lying was a flaw.
Mm-hmm.
Back in my addiction and things like that, going to work or not bringing the money home and all of these things, that was lies, those were flaws. So now to move forward to come to a place where you had to share all of these things with no higher and this like that, things in that nature, I was very appreciative of that due to the fact that helped me get rid of the flaws. Sometimes you can recognize your flaws. That was one of them. Lying when I didn't have to. Lying to people when they knew that what I did with my money and things of that nature. But now just to come here to know that I don't have to. Well, at first I had to show documentations and do all these things, which I was gratefully proud to do. But it feels it goes the line of explaining yourself. All my life I explained myself. I felt like I explained myself. But this time it really meant something to explain myself because I was moving forward. I wasn't stuck in the mud when I was explaining myself, kicking wheels. This time it's different. It was different. When I explained myself, I meant what I said and said what I meant. And that was one of the flaws. Now I don't have to do that today. So that was one.
So, what's one thing recovery taught you that no self help book ever could?
The overall thing recovery has taught me that this is a disease. It doesn't matter where you come from, where you've been, where you're trying to go, what happens, this and that. It doesn't matter. That's what recovery taught me. All walks of life, it doesn't matter. That's what it taught
And what's a phrase that grounds you when you feel lost?
me.
Could be a quote.
A quote, a phrase. I got several,
Yeah.
but the one that I use is I replay that over my head, and I said it earlier on the podcast. Back a couple of weeks ago. I can't come 1,500 miles to go back 1,500 miles the same way I came. I play that tape. That's a quote. That's a phrase that I use, metaphor, whatever you want to call it. But the only one knows that. Well, now that I share that is whoever's watching, listening, or tune in. But only one that knows that metaphor or whatever is for me, and that's what I use. I can't go back the same way I came.
Awesome. And I see, um, what track you're on, and it's amazing. And yeah, there you guys have it here. The part three, the work. It also helps to maybe do an inventory list. See how your day was, and write that down. Maybe journaling, meditate, and yeah, and look for all these things that may be creeping in your life that don't do no benefit to you.
And another thing I tell myself is that if I make bad choices and things like that, no one has to suffer with it in the long run but me. And not other than that, I'm my own worst enemy. Nobody can make me or do me to do anything unless I'm held at gunpoint and things of that nature. Other than that, it's free will, and I have a choice. And the choice I choose to use today is to keep doing what I've been doing and to help a person if they want help, and it helps me working together. And it's, it's, there's no harm in that to a certain degree if you just keep it on that type of level. But if you go outside of that level, things can go wrong and sideways. Luckily for me, I just keep it straightforward, to the left or to the right when you're dealing with this recovery type of ordeal, because it's a serious business. And that's the only business that I'm considering about being in at this point. But it's just a choice, you know. And for a long time, just my worst enemy. Knowing right from wrong and still choosing wrong.
Mm-hmm.
But now today, we've got a clear mind, and I don't have conscious. Uh, I have a conscience today. I care for others, you know. Much as like I care for myself, you know. And that's what say, love thy neighbor as you love yourself, and that's what I choose to do. And that helps.
Amazing. Amazing. Thank you again. And if you guys have any stories out there of your own, or any obstacles that you've overcame, comment them down below, or send a message, and we'll share it if you like. And thank you guys again for tuning in. If you haven't already, please subscribe. And thank you again, Brian.
Yes.
It's been a
Thanks for
pleasure.
having me.